Okay, now we continue in the second part of the chapter number 14, or the second part of the video. We start where we left last time. We start from that point. So you see, in the first part, we saw that how St. Coleridge is defining poem, and he says that poem and prose has very little difference, and the difference is of the combination of elements only. Elements means words. In prose, words are combined differently, as in poems they are combined very much differently. Now we move to the next thing, poetry. Now you see, poetry according to St. Coleridge is a very uh, high form of literature. It must be written very carefully because poetry is not equal to poem. Poetry is somewhat different, or not somewhat, but very much different. Uh, as you can see, a poetry in the bracket it is given a studied selection, an artificial arrangement, excite attention, and to yield pleasure. See, means for writing poetry, first of all, you should be very much studious. You must be a great scholar. And you see, if you are a real scholar, if you have really done a great study, so you will be able to select the things as per their common qualities, as per their uh, similarities. So you see, I studied selection and artificial arrangement. And you see, if you are a poet and if you are going to write a poetry, so you have to create your own artificial arrangement. Means every poet creates his own arrangement, and then what happens with that arrangement, or because of that arrangement, it excites attention and to yield pleasure. You see, means that artificial arrangement of words excite attention, means every reader looks at that arrangement which is very much new, very much novel, and definitely they become very much attentive to that arrangement, and then that arrangement, that poetry produces, yields means produces pleasure, and this is the aim or end or object of poetry. Now we will see one by one, means how he defines this genre poetry. Activity of the poet's whole mind, or the whole activity of the poet's mind. See, means for writing poetry, you no need to write only the, or you become an expert in combining words, but your whole mind must be activated. It must be in action. It must be working together. Means all the faculties of your mind must be active for writing poetry. So you see, writing poetry and writing poem are very much different things, very much different things. So activity of the poet's whole mind, means if you are a poet, so your whole mind must be working together. Means if you are carelessly doing work, carelessly writing something, so that something can never be called poetry. Or the whole activity of the poet's mind, means you see, all the faculties of the mind, all the qualities of the mind must work together, then only you will be able to write a poetry. And you see, the next point, a poem is only one expression of poet's mind. See, this is the difference. Yeah, a poem is just one expression, only just one segment, only one quality of human mind or the poet's mind, and the expression of that one or single quality of the mind is given in a poem. But poetry is actually the whole mind. Poetry belongs to a wider category, and that's why writing poetry is not at all an easy task according to St. Coleridge. The creative activity of the mind. See, this creativity or the creative activity of the mind. You see, we philosophers, great scholars, intellectuals have been continuously discussing, talking, having a great discussion about the creativity of man. So here St. Coleridge is saying that if you are using your creative mind and if you are creating something with that mind, so that thing will be your poetry. See, again, means in later points it is said that only the thing that you are writing with the help of words will not be poetry, but everything that is you are creating, that you are giving rise to or giving existence to with your creative mind will be your poetry. For example, you see, the poet painter, scientist, and philosopher bring their whole soul into activity. When a scientist is fully involved, is fully engaged in his creative work and invents something, so that invented thing is his poetry. If a painter is using whole faculties of his mind and then creating a best one of the best paintings in the world, for example the Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, or Michelangelo's paintings, or modern paintings. So, see, such paintings will be the poetry of that painter. And in the same way, if a philosopher is there, like Plato, like Aristotle, like Immanuel Kant, if they are using all the faculties of their mind to create a philosophy, so that philosophy will be called the poetry of that philosopher. So you see, poetry means the whole mind, the creativity, the activity of the whole mind, or the result of the creativity, or the result of the activity of the whole mind, whatever it is. Then the function of the poet is the function of the poetry per se. See, for example, the function of the poem is to yield, to produce pleasure, but you see, the function of the poet is the function of the poetry. If you really want to know the function of the poet's mind, so you read the poetry carefully, then you will realize the greatness, the nobleness, the nobility of the poet's mind. Means what a great mind that poet is having, it in itself, or in per se, means how great the poet's mind is. You can find that greatness of the poet's mind inside the poetry, inside the creativity of the philosophers, of the painters, and of the poets, or of the scientists as well. So poetry is actually that thing. Now, see, S.T. Coleridge had a very different belief also. Means William Wordsworth said that anybody can become poet if you are feeling the emotions of the common people, and if you are successfully recollecting those emotions and writing them into words, so you are a poet. But S.T. Coleridge says that no, anybody cannot become a poet. Only special people can become poet. Only special people can have this quality, of writing poetry and calling themselves a poet. His main function while writing poetry, use means actually, what is the main function of a poet? See, poet brings his whole soul into activity, assisted by other faculties. See, means a poet is one who has different faculties inside his mind. Not only the master of language, the expert of language. You see, and you see, in all the faculties of his mind, imagination is most useful. See, actually, S.T. Coleridge followed. He was the believer. He was the follower of German idealism. German idealism means the idealism, the theory of idealism, the philosophy of idealism, which was evolved by Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant said that there are two worlds, phenomenal world and the noumenal world. And the phenomenal world is the world of appearance, which is looking to our eyes, which is appearing to our eyes, and this world is not real world, because it is changing, it is not true, it cannot, means it is not the absolute one. That's why he believed in the noumenal world. Noumenal world means the world which is supernatural, which is uh, beyond reality, transcendental. The correct word is transcendental world. So he said, Immanuel Kant said that how will we know that noumenal world? How will we go to that noumenal world? So he gave some ideas, he gave some methods, like your imagination, your feelings, your emotions, your intuitions, your instinct will help you to know that noumenal world. You see, for example, our phenomenal world we know by our logic, by our mind, our reason. But noumenal world can never be known by reason, by logic, by our sense experiences. So that's why S.T. Coleridge himself believed that the poet must have the highest quality, and that highest quality is imagination. it is very much useful. That's why if you read the poems of S.T. Coleridge, so you will find imaginary things are so much. It is plenty of given there, in his works. His genius means poet's genius or creative power invents images, thoughts, and emotions and builds them into a poetry. And you see here, only the person will be called a poet who creates reality, who creates images, who creates thoughts, who creates emotions and builds them into a poetry. Only that person can be called a poet. See, this is also this idea is also given by Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant said that we don't know reality, we don't identify reality. Actually, our mind has the quality, our mind has the capacity to to create reality. है ना, because of the categories, there are different categories in the mind, and those categories are actually responsible for creating reality. So the poet is one who creates a new reality. That's why if you read the poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner or the poem Christabel, so you will find that how St. Coleridge has created everything in his mind and included them or combined them into one poetry. है ना. So being a poet or writing a poetry is a very very special task according to S.T. Coleridge. है ना. But poem we can write. Poem means if you have the knowledge of meter, if you have the knowledge of rhyming words, if you have the knowledge of sound patterns, so you can write poems, because poem is only one expression of the human mind, but poetry is the whole mind of the poet. And now see the last point. What is the very very important function of the poet's mind? And I see this power of the poet's mind reveals itself in the balance or reconciliation of opposite qualities. See, means the poet's mind actually creates the sameness with difference. Means poet's mind, as you see, we common people look at things differently. Means everything for us is different. If we look at four books, so those four books will be four to us. But if a poet will look at them, so he will find some similarity, some sameness into those four different things. And you see, he finds a general into the concrete or particular things. Means universals. A poet's mind is one that finds out, that draws out, that means finds out the general into the particulars, into the concretes. Then he finds the ideas into the images. Suppose if he looks at some painting, some events or some things or some images, so he will get some creative ideas, and because of those images, then he creates a novelty, newness into some old familiar objects, and then he finds some, or he creates, or he invents some unusual emotions with usual order. So you see, this is the last and the very important or the most important quality of the poet's mind. And if anybody is having these qualities, he or she can himself or themselves can call a poet, otherwise they cannot. Now see the conclusion. Now in this conclusion we can see once again the difference between a poetry and a poem. See, first of all, poetry covers all creation. Means all creativity is there in the poetry, and a poem is only a small creation, one form of expression. है ना. For example, if a poem, you are writing a poem on particular topic, on particular event, so you see it is just one expression. Then in a philosophical sense, whole of God's creation is his poetry. For example, this whole universe is God's poetry. Why? Because God has used the whole mind of his to create this universe and a single planet. And you see, in this whole universe, if we take only one planet like our earth, so this single planet is like a poem. It is just a poem of God, and the whole universe is the poetry of God. Similarly, Beethoven's entire life's activity engaged in musical composition is his poetry. Beethoven is one of the greatest musician in the world, like Mozart. So you see, if we gather all the works of Beethoven, so the whole work collectively will be called the poetry of Beethoven. And only one orchestra, only one program, musical program will be called his poem. So I think there is no better way to differentiate or to define the differentiation of poetry and poem than this one. I hope you will understand, or you would have very well understood the difference between a poetry and a poem. Here I end my second part of this chapter number 14's video, and this chapter has no title. That's why we can know this title by its main ideas, that in this chapter St. Coleridge differentiates four different things: a metrical composition and prose, then a poetry, a poem, a poetry, and then a poet. So I hope you all have understood everything clearly, and thank you very much once again for watching both the videos completely in toto. Thank you very much. Thank you again.